All right, strap in, everybody. We're going depth today.
Deep dives are the best kind.
They really are. And
Yeah.
you guys sent in something really, really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be talking about Vincent Tolman's near-death experience.
Okay.
And this is not your average NDE, let me tell you. This guy was clinically dead for like an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, went to heaven, met a guide,
Uh-huh.
came back with some serious life lessons.
It's incredible, isn't it? How these experiences, they seem to echo themes we find, like in ancient wisdom traditions.
Yes.
Near-death experiences all over the world, across cultures, even in like modern physics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, to set the scene, Tolman's a bodybuilder, right?
Okay.
Accidentally overdoses on a supplement.
One of those strong ones you order online?
Yeah, the kind that's like way stronger than the American version.
Yeah.
And things go south really fast.
Oh, no.
And suddenly he's watching the paramedics working on his lifeless body.
You know, this whole out-of-body thing, it's a recurring theme in so many NDEs.
Yep.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the nature of consciousness?
For sure.
Like, if Tolman can perceive everything while his brain's clinically dead, what's that tell us about the connection between mind and body?
Right, like his consciousness was operating totally independently.
Right.
And that's something that some quantum physicists are actually exploring now, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the idea that consciousness might not just be a product of the brain, but like a fundamental part of reality itself.
Like a radio receiver. The brain's the receiver, but the consciousness is the signal.
Exactly.
Existing independently, maybe even outside of, like, time and space as we understand them.
Whoa.
Right.
So meanwhile, back with the paramedics, they're pretty much ready to call it.
Oh, wow.
But this rookie medic, he just has this feeling, this gut feeling that Tolman's not gone.
Really?
Pushes back against the senior medics, even breaks protocol, trying to revive him.
That rookie's persistence, man, it's key.
Yeah.
He doesn't give up, and boom. Against all odds, Tolman's heart starts beating again.
I know, it makes you think about intuition, right?
Yeah.
And how these seemingly small acts of defiance can have huge ripple effects.
You got that right. It's a good reminder for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
To listen to that inner voice.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to challenge the way things are, especially when something just feels deeply, deeply right.
So true.
Oh.
So while all this is happening, Tolman's on a whole other journey. He's greeted by this guide named Drake.
Drake.
Drake takes him on this incredible tour of heaven.
Wow, this is where it gets really interesting.
I know, right?
Tolman's description of heaven, it's so vivid, so multisensory. It's not your typical, like, clouds and harps kind of thing.
No, not at all.
He talks about colors emanating from within objects, not from, like, an external sun.
Right.
Even the grass, it's got a smell, a sound, a taste, even a consciousness.
It's wild.
It really is. Like, he's experiencing reality on a way higher vibrational frequency. This resonates, you know, with what some researchers, folks like Graham Hancock, suggest about ancient civilizations maybe having access to these altered states of consciousness where they perceived reality totally differently.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So instead of this static place, we're talking about like a dynamic, vibrant heaven.
Yeah, like buzzing with life force.
Yeah.
And this idea of different levels of reality, it's not just limited to ancient cultures or NDEs either. Quantum physics is starting to point towards multiple dimensions existing beyond what we normally see.
Right.
Maybe Tolman tapped into one of those dimensions, experiencing a reality beyond what we can even fathom.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've got this multisensory heaven, and then there's Drake, Tolman's guide. But he's not just showing him the sights, right?
No, he's guiding him on this path of, like, spiritual growth, like
Yeah.
a spiritual teacher in, you know, a lot of wisdom traditions.
Exactly. And the main lesson that Tolman learns, authenticity.
Being true to yourself no matter what.
Yeah, shedding the masks we wear to fit in and embracing our true selves.
You know, that concept of authenticity, it pops up in teachings across cultures and throughout history.
It's like that saying, be the same person in private as you are in public.
Yeah, but Tolman's experience takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like, true spiritual growth comes from this radical self-acceptance.
That's so powerful.
Makes you think, doesn't it? How much energy do we waste on keeping up a front instead of just being ourselves?
Totally.
Like, what if embracing our true selves is the key to a more fulfilling life?
That's a great question. It's a lot to think about, especially in today's world. We're constantly bombarded with all these images and expectations. But it also begs the question, how do we even begin to uncover and embrace our authentic selves?
Right. It's not always easy, but that's where Tolman's next lesson comes in. And this one I think you'll find particularly relevant. Drake introduces him to the idea of the hour of power.
Oh, hour of power. That sounds intriguing.
It is. It's about dedicating the first and last hour of your day to connecting with your spiritual source,
Okay.
whether it's through prayer, meditation, reading uplifting stuff, or spending time in nature.
So creating a buffer at the start and end of your day.
Exactly. To clear your mind, connect with something bigger than yourself.
I like that.
And Tolman contrasts this with what he calls the garbage dump of negative media.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get sucked into the news or social media. But what if we started treating our minds like sacred spaces?
Hmm.
Be more intentional about what we let in.
Powerful imagery. It really makes you think about how you start and end your own days.
Right.
It's a reminder to be mindful of what we're exposing ourselves to, especially during those transition times.
Absolutely. And you know what? It all ties back to that concept of authenticity, too.
Oh, yeah.
By choosing to fill our minds with positivity and inspiration, we're creating the space for our true selves to emerge.
I love that. Okay, so we've got this multisensory heaven, this wise guy, the hour of power. Where does Tolman's journey take him next?
Well, this is where things take another fascinating turn. Tolman describes heaven as a university?
A university.
Yeah, a place where souls continue to learn and grow, getting ready for what's next.
Hold on, so it's not about reaching some final destination.
Nope.
It's about continuous learning and evolution.
Exactly. And this idea, it aligns with what we find in lots of spiritual traditions.
Yeah.
Like the concept of reincarnation or the idea that consciousness keeps going after death.
It's like our souls are constantly evolving, always searching for greater understanding and connection.
Yeah.
It really reframes how we think about life and death, doesn't
It
it?
does. If this life is just one chapter in a much bigger story, what does that mean for how we approach each day? Our relationships, our
Really?
purpose.
That's a huge question. And it feels like we're just scratching the surface here. Coleman's story is already so full of insights, challenging our conventional understanding of reality. I can't wait to dive deeper into the rest of his experience and see where it leads us.
Welcome back. We're still unpacking this wild NDE from Vincent Tolman.
Seriously, this story is just full of twists and turns. In the last part, we were talking about heaven being like a university for the soul.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Continuous learning and growth even after we die.
Pretty different from that whole pearly gates image, huh?
Definitely. Makes you wonder, though, what are we learning up there?
Right. What kind of knowledge are these souls pursuing in this cosmic university?
Exactly.
Tolman doesn't really get into specifics,
Okay.
but he does keep coming back to the importance of authenticity and self-discovery.
Maybe those are like the foundational courses in heaven.
Yeah, like the
It's
prerequisites.
the stuff we got to master before moving on to the advanced stuff.
Imagine if the lessons we're struggling with here, like learning to love ourselves, being real with each other.
Yeah.
What if that's just the beginning of this much bigger journey?
Whoa!
Like we're all enrolled in this cosmic university, working towards some kind of spiritual graduation.
It's mind-blowing, but it also kind of makes you reevaluate the lessons we're learning here and now.
Totally. If learning continues after death, what does that say about the value of what we're going through right now?
That's the million-dollar question. I don't know if there's a simple answer,
Yeah.
but maybe it means that all the struggles, the heartbreaks, the victories, even the mundane stuff,
It's all part of our soul's evolution.
yeah, like every experience, every interaction, it's all shaping us, preparing us for something bigger,
Yeah.
even if we can't see the whole picture yet.
Maybe that's the point. We're not supposed to have all the answers.
Right, just embrace the journey. Trust that something meaningful is unfolding, even in all the chaos.
Talking about chaos and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Tolman's return to Earth.
Oh, yeah, he's in heaven soaking up all this knowledge and vibrancy.
Right.
But something pulls him back.
What is it?
It's love.
Love.
Yeah, specifically his brother's prayers. He describes this overwhelming sense of love pulling him back to the physical world.
So not the medics. It was his brother's love that brought him back.
It seems that way. It's powerful, isn't it? Even across the divide between life and death, love acts as this, unbreakable bond.
It's like that saying, love never dies.
Hmm.
But in Tolman's case, it literally brought him back to life.
It makes you wonder about the impact we have on each other, our love, our prayers, our thoughts.
What if we have way more power to influence each other's well-being than we think?
And from a distance, too.
It really throws a wrench in that materialist view that everything's just physical matter and energy.
Right. What if consciousness and love and intention are just as real, just as powerful, and they shape reality in ways we're only beginning to grasp?
That's a lot to unpack.
Oh, definitely. A lot of scientists and philosophers are wrestling with these ideas, and Tolman's story just adds another layer.
So he's pulled back from heaven by this wave of love, but his return to his body isn't exactly smooth.
He describes it like being forced back into a sardine can.
Ah!
Talk about a contrast.
Going from this infinite multisensory reality to our dense physical world
Must have been incredibly jarring.
makes you think about how much our physical bodies, as incredible as they are, might also be holding us back.
Right. What if our souls are capable of so much more than we can even comprehend?
And it's this physical form that's limiting us.
It's a fascinating thought. It ties back to those ancient traditions that talk about transcending the ego, the limitations of the physical self, connecting with something higher.
And here we are, stuck in these human bodies, trying to make sense of it all. It's like we've forgotten our true nature.
Yeah, our connection to something much greater.
Maybe that's part of the human journey.
To remember who we really are, to reconnect with that divine spark, even while we're in these physical forms.
And stories like Tolman's, as wild as they seem,
Yeah.
they give us these glimpses into what might be possible.
They encourage us to explore our own consciousness, the mysteries of existence.
And get this, there's another twist in Tolman's story.
Ah.
A twist that adds a whole other layer to this idea of interconnectedness.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember Drake?
Tolman's Guide in Heaven.
Yeah, the wise teacher, the one who taught him about authenticity and the hour of power.
Uh-huh.
Well, turns out he wasn't just some random spiritual guide.
There's more to him.
Oh yeah, get ready for this.
Okay.
Tolman later finds out that Drake was actually his great-great-grandfather.
Whoa, hold on. His guide in heaven was his own ancestor.
That's right. Talk about a family reunion.
Wow, that really highlights the idea that our connections with loved ones go way beyond this earthly life.
And it adds a whole new dimension to the concept of ancestral wisdom.
What if our ancestors are still with us, in some form, guiding and supporting us on our journeys?
It's a beautiful thought. It really challenges us to rethink time and lineage.
Yeah, what if the past, present, and future are way more intertwined than we realize?
Tolman's experience is like this crazy puzzle box,
Oh, yeah.
and each piece just reveals a deeper layer of meaning.
And it's a puzzle we're all invited to play with.
To ask our own questions,
Explore our own experiences.
piece together our own understanding of this whole crazy thing we call life. Wow, this deep dive into Vincent Tolman's NDE has really been something else.
It's definitely stretched our perspectives.
From accidental overdoses to a heaven that's like bursting with life.
Right. And those lessons from his guide, authenticity, the hour of power, and then to find out it was his ancestor all along.
It's like our whole idea of reality is getting flipped on its head.
That's the beauty of these kinds of stories. They make us question everything we thought we knew.
And you know what's really hitting me is how much Tolman's experience lines up with like ancient wisdom and even modern science.
It's like those different paths are starting to converge, pointing towards something bigger than we ever imagined.
Right, like that whole idea of heaven being a university for the soul.
Yeah, that resonates with so many spiritual traditions, the idea of reincarnation or consciousness continuing after death.
And even quantum physics is suggesting multiple dimensions, consciousness not being limited to the brain.
It's like science is finally catching up to what mystics have been saying for centuries.
And that theme of interconnectedness that runs through Tolman's story.
Yeah, from the rookie medic's intuition to his brother's prayers.
And then the connection with his ancestor as his guide.
It all suggests this web that goes beyond time and space.
Like our actions, thoughts, everything has a ripple effect,
Yep.
way beyond what we can grasp.
We're all part of this intricate dance, influencing each other in ways we may never fully understand.
What if that connection extends even further?
You mean beyond just humans?
Yeah, what if we're connected to nature, the cosmos, a universal consciousness?
It's like we're all part of this massive web of life, each playing our part in something much grander.
It's both humbling and awe-inspiring.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder how to live a life that honors that connection.
How to show up in the world knowing we're part of something so much bigger.
Big questions, no easy answers.
But maybe Tolman's experience gives us some clues.
The emphasis on authenticity, self-love, connecting with something beyond ourselves,
And that hour of power practice.
dedicating time to connect with our spiritual source, cultivate gratitude.
It's so easy to lose sight of that in the everyday chaos.
But these stories remind us to slow down, reflect, reconnect with that sense of wonder.
And to remember, we're not just physical beings.
We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Tolman's incredible journey, I'm left with a sense of mystery and possibility.
There's so much we don't know.
But stories like his encourage us to explore, to question, to embrace the unknown.
And to live our lives with a deeper sense of purpose, connection, and love.
Knowing that we're part of something far more magnificent than we can imagine.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time as we explore another fascinating topic that'll challenge your perceptions and expand your understanding of the world.